Right, it looks like things have leveled off, so we're going to get going. Thank you all for being here, and welcome to the Network Lighting Controls version 5.2 Technical Requirements Final Release webinar. Before we get into it, I'm going to start with a little housekeeping. So the slides and the recorded webinar are going to both be posted on our news and events page at designlights.org after today's presentation. So if you missed anything or want to show it to anyone else, it'll be there for you. And if you haven't already noticed, all attendees have automatically been muted. But of course, we want to still hear from you. So we're going to be using the question pane during this webinar. And we'll answer questions, basic questions throughout the webinar, but we'll be saving most of them for the Q&A at the end of the webinar. But be sure to not use the chat pane, which we won't be using. The chat pane is the two speech bubbles, and the question pane is the speech bubble with a question mark in it. So we won't be monitoring the chat pane if you use that. For those of us who are joining us for the first time, I should mention that the Design Lights Consortium is an independent nonprofit organization, and we provide decision makers with the data and resources on quality lighting controls and integrated building systems to reduce energy, carbon, and light pollution. Here's a look at our agenda for today. After we get done with the introductions, we're going to give you some background on why we're working on NLC thermostat integration in this version. Then we'll get into the requirements around NLC thermostats in version 5.2, followed by reporting requirements for C137.9 configuration. Then we have a few more smaller updates, and we'll finish things out with an explanation of DLC's NLC HVAC toolkit to give you practical ideas on how to go about integration. And finally, we'll use the time we have left for a question and answer session. Here's a look at the people you'll be hearing from today. First, we have Levin Nock, then Jason Jeanette, Bhagwat Mohan will be helping us out during the Q&A, and myself, Andrew Antares. And by the end of the webinar today, we'll hope you'll understand the timeline for updates, why we did this update, what the new requirements are, what's changed since draft 1, and how you can begin going about doing integrations. Here's a look at the update timeline. So we're here today in July at the final release webinar. Annual renewals begin on the 1st of August, and we start accepting applications to 5.2 on August 17th. And we will be having another webinar specifically focused on applications on September 17th. So any questions on how applications are going to work, we recommend you hold until that webinar because we won't be answering those today. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to Levin. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Over the past few years, the DLC has been exploring how interoperability in network lighting controls can enhance energy savings. This year, we're focusing on thermostats that can easily receive occupancy data from lighting control systems. And I'll start with the reason why we're doing this. Fundamentally, the DLC helps energy efficiency programs for commercial lighting incentivize the supply chain for energy efficient LED lighting and lighting controls to deliver energy savings. So we are very interested in what the future looks like for commercial lighting incentive programs. Incentives are declining for tubular LEDs and for simple LED retrofits without any lighting controls. At the same time, lighting retrofits that include luminaire level lighting controls offer an opportunity for commercial lighting incentive programs to continue saving energy for years to come, especially in projects where the new LLLC system can provide occupancy data to the HVAC controls for even deeper energy savings. In suitable buildings, occupancy data from a lighting control network can inform the thermostat or building automation system to relax the temperature set points by a few degrees whenever an area is unoccupied. This is called occupied standby mode in building energy codes. It relies on real-time occupancy data that's available to very few existing HVAC systems today. If you have an existing building with variable occupancy patterns and you want to add occupancy control to save HVAC energy, then a lighting retrofit project offers a great opportunity to install light fixtures with occupancy sensors already built in and networked wirelessly and powered by the same circuit that powers the lights. All those sensors get conveniently installed in the ceiling of practically every space in your building that's ever occupied. Most buildings today that save energy with occupied standby mode are large buildings with a building automation system, while a few smaller buildings, such as hotels, can use hardwired dry contact switches. But now, digital thermostats are available to bring programmable occupied standby mode to more small buildings without a building automation system. Today's commercial buildings use more than half of their energy for HVAC and about 10% for lighting. In suitable buildings, a lighting retrofit with lighting HVAC integration can save over 20% of the whole building energy load between new LED lights plus lighting controls plus HVAC savings. With this update of the technical requirements, we want to showcase products that can help save energy like this, especially in smaller buildings that do not have a building automation system. That chart of energy savings was based on large buildings with building automation systems. It's too early to say exactly what the energy savings will be in a typical smaller building. One thing we know is that cooling set points are less flexible than heating set points due to humidity and daytime solar gain. So the percentage of cooling energy that can be saved is lower than the percentage of heating energy. Early simulated results from energy models suggest savings in small buildings of up to 11% of cooling energy and 21% of heating energy, compared to a pre-existing well-scheduled thermostat. Savings could be higher where the original thermostats were not carefully scheduled and updated as activities change over time. Heating and cooling needs vary by climate, obviously. So for instance, if most energy for space conditioning goes to heating, then most energy savings will be in heating and vice versa. And of course, the variability of occupancy patterns will depend on the type of building and even on activities within each different building. So now we have a poll to find out, are you involved in any projects with digital LLC thermostat integration?
Right, Liv, I'm not sure if you can see it, but we got answers coming in right away.
Yes, I'm seeing the answers as they come in. We've got looks like 40% is no, but I'm interested. Um, and 65% have voted. Thanks. I'm not sure if everybody's seeing that or just the presenters.
I'm not sure either, but it looks like we've got a quarter of the people who have, or three-quarters of the people who have voted. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the results so we can discuss them. Oh, it just jumped up. I scared some people. All right, it looks to have leveled off. So here are the results.
Thanks. Yes, so we've got about 40% of the people have not been involved yet, but are interested. 13% are in the planning stage. One person has done one project, and 6% of the people, which corresponds to 5 actual people, have done more than one project. So thanks for that. And now we'll continue on to the next slide, which is now we'll look at how NLC integrated thermostats will be added to the NLC qualified products list. And we haven't said all the details yet, but here's a rough idea of what it's going to look like. We're adding thermostats to the qualified products list to accomplish these things. First, we want to help efficiency programs and their customers match thermostat A with LLC B confidently to increase chances of successful lighting HVAC integration. They'll be able to find on the NLC QPL a control system that integrates easily with a particular thermostat. Beyond that, they can even identify a particular LLC luminaire model number on the solid state lighting QPL based on recent updates to control categories. Second, efficiency programs will be able to use the list to support incentives that already exist to tie in with their existing programs. And they'll also be able to use this list to plan research if they want to collect data about energy savings to develop new incentives. And of course, the overall goal is to support deeper energy savings from retrofit projects. We know of only a few thermostat models that will qualify at first, so we're not trying to make a separate list of thermostats. A thermostat will be listed as a feature of the NLC system that it integrates easily with. For example, here's the top-level view of the Network Lighting Controls qualified products list. If you select an NLC system, such as Alio Blue here, then you get a pop-up window showing all the system capabilities with green check marks beside the capabilities supported by that particular system. To see more details about a capability such as external systems integration, you can click on it and then see an accordion menu with more details. The thermostat information will be here as one aspect of external systems integration. Back on the top level view of multiple systems, we'll probably also add a filter to help you find NLC systems with thermostats. And all that whole section I just said is subject to the final decision, so it may not look exactly like that, but that's the general idea. So now we'll see how NLC integrated thermostats show up in the technical requirements. In the technical requirements, the new information about thermostats is on pages 24 and 25. In a large enough building with a large enough budget, a talented integrator can probably figure out some way to connect a wide variety of thermostats with a wide variety of NLC systems. That's not what this update is about. The goal of this update is to find particular pairs of an NLC system model paired with a thermostat model where somebody has already done the hard work of programming the integration for digital communication. For some thermostats, that communication occurs directly through the lighting network, such as with Bluetooth NLC or Zigbee. Other thermostats require a gateway to communicate over the internet. Both are acceptable provided that they are easy to integrate. To figure out a practical definition for the phrase easily integrated, we convened a working group in January and February with interested parties from several different perspectives, as shown here on the left, and then we refined their recommendations with public comments in March and April, as shown on the right. I want to extend many thanks to everyone who participated in the working group and in the comments. This final version is much better than where we started, thanks to your support. Here are the three final questions that we landed on to determine whether a particular thermostat can be easily integrated with a particular NLC system. The answers to all three of these questions need to be yes in order for a thermostat to be included on the DLC list. First, does the NLC system communicate digital occupied, unoccupied data that the thermostat can receive and respond to by changing temperature set points and fan control? Second, can the thermostat and NLC be integrated and configured to exchange digital occupancy data by following the manufacturer's instructions without special training, custom scripting, programming, or third-party tools? And third, can the thermostat be configured by a graphical user interface or GUI to subscribe to occupancy data from multiple occupancy sensors using simple, non-text heavy methods that minimize manual data entry, such as drop-down selections, drag and drop, tabular assignment, or rule-based wizards? There are also some optional questions that I will not get into today. You can find them on page 25 of the requirements, and we'll go through them in the September webinar on the application process for version 5.2. And now I'll turn it over to Jason for ANSI C137.9.
Thanks, Levin. So now I'm going to talk about the added support for ANSI C137.9 configuration reports. At a high level, control savings are difficult to verify. Their savings depend on occupancy patterns, daylight availability, adherence to schedules, overrides in user behavior, and unlike lighting savings, installation alone is not evidence of actual savings happening. So if you're just installing a control system, doesn't mean you're actually going to save any energy from it. So to alleviate this situation, the ANSI C137.9 committee got together and worked on a standard for indoor network lighting control systems configuration reports. This report was designed with and for energy efficiency programs to make sure that we can meet their program needs and goals. It provides a standardized NLC configuration report. So this is a high-level overview of how an NLC system has been configured for a specific installation. These reports are generated by the NLC system, and the submission process is that an installer installs the system. At the end of programming, they generate the report from the system and then submit that to an energy efficiency program for review. One big note is these reports do not cover energy use data. This is configuration reporting, not energy use data. That's a different standard. So as an example of how this looks, we have a sample report. It starts with a header that has information about the system, manufacturer, the system name, the project that is installed on, and when the report was generated. The rows of the report are organized in a few different ways. We have spaces, so these are the ASHRAE 90.1 space types that are included in this particular installation. We have the quantity of luminaires controlled, both of luminaires with and without LLC, so sensors installed. We have configuration columns where we talk about daylight harvesting. Is scheduling enabled? Is occupancy sensing enabled, and is it manual or auto on? What is the sensor timeout for those rooms? And what is the high-end trim level? And then we have a watts controlled section that reports the total connected load in those spaces, as well as the effective connected load after high-end trim has been applied, and what that effective load is under occupancy sensing and daylight harvesting strategies. Each row in the report represents a room type. In this case, we have a conference meeting or multipurpose room. There's one of these rooms in that building. There are 5 luminaires controlled, and none of them have sensors on board. They do not have daylight harvesting enabled. They do have scheduling enabled, occupancy sensing as manual on, and a sensor timeout of 10 minutes, and a high-end trim level of 85%. All that adds up to a total connected load of 212 watts, which after high-end trim is applied, that effective load is 180 watts, and all of those are under the aux sensing control strategy. This building also has, this in the same room, 12 luminaires that do have sensors on board, and daylight harvesting is enabled for those luminaires. The rest of the row says they have all of the same settings as the previous row. So scheduling is enabled, aux sensing is enabled with a 10-minute timeout and manual on, and 85% trim level. For those 12 LLC fixtures, there's a total connected load of 507 watts, and after high-end trim is applied, that effective load is 431 watts, all of which fall under the aux sensing strategy as well as daylight harvesting. At the bottom, there are a total row for reporting on all of the products in that installation. So in this case, this building has 130 controlled luminaires. Of that, 119 of them are LLC luminaires, and they all have a total connected load of 3,763 watts. So for NLC 5.2, the capability to generate these reports is a reported capability. We are just reporting on whether or not a system has the capability to generate these reports. In a future TR version, somewhere down the line, in a year or two or more, we are going to move that to a required capability, but right now it is only reported. And we're happy to say that Focus on Energy in Wisconsin is offering a $500 per report incentive for these reports, and that's active currently in 2026. So we encourage manufacturers to get on board and be first to market for this. So now we have a quick poll on the C137.9 reports. So when will your organization begin using C137.9 configuration reports in your products or programs or specifications?
I'm impressed with this audience. They're jumping right into the poll. Quick to
Love it.
answer.
Although we're still under 40%. Everybody go step up and click. Let that go for a little bit. And we're slowly creeping up. All right, so it looks like we're getting some traction, and we'll see some significant traction on this topic in the next year or so. Great. Some other updates to the TR. We have reorganized some of the tables a little bit, where we combined tables 2-1 and 2-2 into a single table for required and reported capabilities for indoor systems. Nothing's really changed here, it's just some formatting updates. Same thing for tables 3-1 and 3-2, where the requirements have not changed. We're just consolidated things a little bit. We've also taken table 3 and converted it to paragraph form to make it a little bit easier to read and provide some more context there. Another big change is that we are opening up the NLC QPL to horticultural system focused systems that meet all of the system requirements for the NLC requirements. So there are systems that are designed for use in horticultural applications, and there's a bit of an overlap between those systems and our NLC requirements. And so horticultural focus systems that do meet all of our requirements can now qualify for listing. And so then I'm going to pass this back to Levin to speak about the NLC HVAC toolkit.
Okay, thanks. So this is a reminder about the NLC HVAC integration toolkit that DLC published last year. It was mainly designed for large integration projects with building automation systems, but some of the information is also helpful for smaller projects with thermostats. The collection of documents can be freely downloaded at designlights.org. And so now we've got a poll about the toolkit. We're curious, have you tried out the toolkit yet?
Lots of votes right off the bat again, Levin. So we're at 61% now. People answering. Looks like it's plateauing a bit. Right.
Yeah, it's looking like most people have not tried it out yet, but some have downloaded and some have even explored it a little bit. So thanks for that. And now continuing on, letting you know the toolkit helps decision makers choose appropriate projects for lighting HVAC integration that are likely to save energy at a reasonable price. They'll help everyone on an integration project work together more effectively to create successful projects that save energy. The toolkit consists of 5 documents in a zip file. First is the handbook, a concise reference manual to help people communicate between silos. Next is the decision tree, a guide to choosing appropriate projects and avoiding projects where energy savings are unlikely. For thermostat projects, this decision tree is probably the most valuable part of the toolkit to choose which buildings are good candidates. Next, there's a spreadsheet summary of 18 integration case studies, including lessons learned. And files 4 and 5 document an example project and can be edited to apply to a particular project to specify who is responsible for what. The decision tree has 7 topics to consider when deciding whether to pursue NLC HVAC integration on a project. It applies to buildings of all sizes, except that when it was published last year, the new thermostats that work with LLC were less available, and we have not yet updated the toolkit except here in this slide. For more details about any of the questions in the diagram, you can click on a color-coded topic number in the diagram to navigate to a PDF page of text about that particular topic. The 18 case studies include these 7 different types of buildings. Most projects were in large buildings using either BACnet or Power over Ethernet. New thermostats will offer new opportunities in smaller buildings, but the energy savings numbers in small spaces are not as well documented yet, as I mentioned. The toolkit includes a spreadsheet with data from all 18 case studies, which is valuable information, but not very user-friendly. Later this summer, we plan to republish the same data in a series of user-friendly brochures that all have a similar format and that are easier to read and digest. You can download the toolkit at the designlights.org webpage for lighting HVAC integration. You can find it with this QR code or even by searching online for NLC HVAC Integration Toolkit. If you've tried out the toolkit and have any feedback about it, we would love to hear from you with any suggestions for improvements or appreciation for how it helped you. And especially if you know of any newer case studies and case studies in smaller buildings that we should add into a future edition. So if DLC hears that lots of people are finding it helpful, then there's a better chance that we can find resources to invest in an update. So honestly, the poll we just got, where nobody on this call at least has used it yet, is a little bit concerning. But we're hoping that as the topic becomes more popular and people start using that, then we will hear that. Well, we'll hear whether it is useful or not, and if it's useful, then we will work on making it even more useful. And now for the review.
Thank you, Levin. I'm just going to take one more look at the timeline for everyone, especially those listing manufacturers. So after today, about a month from now, we have the annual renewal on August 1st. We'll begin accepting applications to version 5.2 on August 17th, and there will be an applications webinar a month later, September 17th. So once again, please hold your questions about applications for that webinar, or we'll follow up with them separately after the webinar. But we won't be answering any applications questions today. And with that, let's turn things over to Bhagwat for the Q&A.
Thanks, Andrew. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can. Yep, it's coming through
Thanks.
loud and clear.
As IT gods would have it, my camera has decided not to cooperate with me today. But we can jump right into the questions. I'm going to call on you, Jason. We have one. Can you update us on the percentage of controls manufacturers that have up-to-date NLC configuration reports?
To my knowledge, nobody currently is producing those or has released that product. I know of 2 or 3 that have it on their roadmap and are working on it lately, but they've asked me not to share names. So as of right now, nobody's made it to market yet, but we are encouraging them to do that. And part of that is including that information in the NLC QPL.
Thank you. One more for you. Does the standardized system configuration report generation mean that manufacturers will have to add additional coding and capabilities to fit that specific template? Or is the report something the service providers can manually fill out? Or will systems have partial capability to fill the report out in some way?
The idea is that the system is generating the complete report. There may be some areas such as whether the wattage is measured or input, where the contractor may fill that out, but that would be part of the system programming. So they would enter the wattage of a fixture for that particular control zone. But the idea is that the system is generating the report without modification afterwards. That will require some development time on the manufacturer's part, but we developed the standard along with the manufacturers to try to keep that investment to a minimum and to show the value of it.
Thanks, Jason. I will give it a moment for questions to come in. But before we run out of time, I want to be sure I mention our summit, which will provide much more opportunity to discuss NLC HVAC integration than we accomplish in a Q&A session. I want to quickly show you our agenda, but first please note that the early pricing is available through the end of July. So you have about 3 weeks left to take advantage of that. Next slide, please. As you can see, the entire summit is centered around lighting controls. Each session will feature a panel of experts rather than a presentation, and we'll end the day by working together on cracking the challenges around lighting controls. One of the sessions is focused specifically on HVAC integration. So if you want to be a part of that conversation, we hope to see you there. Next slide, please. We are going to get back right to the questions, but as a final note on the summit, I want to thank our hosts, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, for making it possible to bring the industry together in this way. Now back to questions. There's one on regarding the renewal date. Yes, that's a heads up or specific message for manufacturers who have active listings on the QPL. The renewal invoices go out next week. So keep an eye out for that. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. The update itself, the update application for 5.2 is independent of the renewal. So the invoice will be due by the 15th of August. And the update applications will go live on the 17th of August. I hope that helps. Thank you again for your continued participation in the program, and we look forward to supporting you in your success in the coming year. I will. While we are waiting for questions, I would add one other point for clarification. So these two focus areas, that is the integration and the configuration report, are specific to indoor listings. We have several systems that are qualified for both indoor and outdoor applications on the QPL, but these topics are pertain only to the indoor listings. I have a question for you, Levin. Can you please explain the energy efficiency aspect of integrating lighting and HVAC controls?
Oh, okay. So in many commercial buildings, the space is conditioned all the time. And sometimes, even if the HVAC conditioning equipment is on a time clock, the time clock isn't necessarily scheduled properly. So buildings tend to be conditioned even when they're empty. This is especially true in some sectors more than others, like retail and education. And so um, if it's possible to get an occupancy signal to know when no one is in the building, then the space doesn't need to be as conditioned. It still needs some conditioning to keep things from freezing or to keep, humidity from causing water damage or something. But there's a broader range of temperature that can be tolerated when the building's empty in most cases. And so there are a few HVAC systems that have been installed with dedicated occupancy sensing. That it's possible to do that. It just takes extra work to go around and install the sensors and either plug them in somewhere or keep the batteries updated or somehow maintain them. The luminaire level lighting control products have evolved to where they're really easy to use now. They're easy to install. The apps are getting more and more friendly to set them up. And so in a lighting retrofit, it just makes sense to use an LLC lighting retrofit instead of a straight LED retrofit without any controls. And so once you've installed that LLC system, then you suddenly have a wealth of occupancy data. You know the occupancy all throughout the building. And then the question is, well, how do you tell the HVAC system to share this information from the lighting system to the HVAC system? And up until recently, that has required a person sitting down and writing a whole bunch of BACnet code or power over Ethernet code or somehow writing all the programming language to make those two things fit together. This new way of energy savings is having these almost plug and play systems set up where the thermostat is simply one more component in the network lighting control system. And it's easily integrated, and the thermostat, I keep using the word easily, the thermostat easily receives all that wealth of occupancy data that the LLC system has been collecting. And so that's what we are trying to celebrate with this release of the technical requirement and this update to the QPL to make those systems easy to find and easy to install, so that the energy savings, where you get a little bit of energy savings from occupancy controlling the lights, suddenly you can get substantially more energy savings by controlling for occupancy both the lighting and the HVAC system.
Thanks, Levin. We have one more. Will there be delisting of NLC systems that do not meet the V2 standards? If yes, when will it occur?
No, there is no plan at this point for delisting systems. As Jason mentioned, at some point in the future, we hope to require C137.9 reports, but that is certainly at least a year in the future and probably longer. And we have not picked a time for that. We just have a goal of eventually we want to do that, but nothing is defined at present. So nothing short term.
So on that same topic, if we do end up making a delisting systems that don't provide the C137.9 report, that will be a full TR update cycle.
Yeah.
So there'll be a draft process for to accept comments on that, and that will not happen out of the blue.
Right. So if you would have any comments about that, please wait until we get around to proposing that, and then there'll be plenty of time to comment on it. Yeah, good point.
There's one more. If we are using a Bluetooth mesh to connect all the lighting systems, would it be okay if we develop our own Bluetooth-based thermostats or grab a thermostat from the market and integrate those with our system?
So, of the network lighting control systems on the QPL, some use Bluetooth NLC, a standard, and some do not. Some other use other protocols, including Bluetooth without the NLC. So I expect some manufacturers may be able to integrate a thermostat without using the Bluetooth NLC protocol. And that is acceptable, right? We will still list. The key question is that it's easy to do. If someone has gone to the trouble of writing the program so that when you install your NLC system, and then you can easily install this thermostat and make everything work together easily. That's the key. You can use any protocol you want. We are recognizing Bluetooth NLC because that happens to be a good way that several different systems are able to communicate in a well-defined way. But it's certainly not limited to Bluetooth NLC. It could be another variant of Bluetooth. It could be Zigbee or even something else.
Thank you.
And can I add to that as well?
Sure.
I'd say the short answer to that question is yes. We would encourage manufacturers to develop solutions where the thermostat sits directly on the lighting network. And then that is the lightest weight way to achieve this functionality. And we hope you guys do that.
Thank you. Can I download the slides? I believe the slides will be added to the website and will be emailed to the registrants by the end of this week. Here, one more question. As you are now including the thermostat information in the QPL, would you like to know when we complete projects so you can include in your toolkit case studies list?
Yes, definitely. Thank you for that reminder. I meant to mention that when I was asking for feedback. Please, we would love to hear about any case studies that anybody does with these new systems. Ideally, if you write it up, but even if you have some information about it, but it's not a formal write-up, I would love to know more about what's happening. Definitely.
Thanks, Levin, and I'll hold on to you. We have one more. How do Bluetooth mesh systems interact with the configuration report versus gateway-based systems? Does the report show all lighting in a facility, even if it is not entirely visible from the location you're pulling the report from? I think this seems to be a conflation between our two topics.
Yeah, I think that's
for
for
Jason.
Me. The short version is the standard is designed to work with both system types. The report generation happens on the, call it configuration device, and that device does not need to be connected to the network all the time. Most likely it needs to be connected at the time of generation. So say you're doing a Bluetooth mesh system and you're running a smartphone app, you would connect the smartphone to the lighting network, generate the report. The app on that phone then basically goes out and asks who all is on this network and who are you and what do you do, how are you programmed, and then collects all that information together and then generates the report from there. That's kind of the way that with a gateway system, that information will most likely live on a centralized device. But for a distributed system like that or a Bluetooth mesh system, it does not need to be a device that is there all the time. And the idea is that whatever lighting network that device is connected to It's reporting on everything that it sees in that network. So how you set up your facility will impact that. If you do a separate lighting network, say for every floor, then you would only be able to report on every floor. But if you do one lighting network for the whole building, then you could do the whole building. So it really depends on how those systems are configured. And if you have more questions about that, I'm happy to talk about it offline. Just let me know.
Thanks, Jason. We have another thermostat question. Should we list every possible data the system supports or just the ones relevant to energy management use cases? Levin, you're on mute.
Thank you. My thought offhand is that you should probably go ahead and list them all, but certainly the ones related to energy management are the high priority. Well, actually, we're providing a choice of I think 4 or 5 different things beyond occupancy that the system might report. And then
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. The table TH1 in the requirements document has the parameters that's recognized, which has an other option. So if there's anything outside the listed functionalities, you may be able to specify that. This will be covered in the applications webinar next month.
Yeah, great.
If we have a case study, what is the best way to share it?
If you've already written it, please just email it to either info@designlights.org or to me, lnock@designlights.org. As I said, we're going to put the case studies, the information that we have already, we're going to put out later this summer in a standard format. So if you're still putting your case study together, as soon as that format comes out, you can see exactly what information we're looking for. So that might help guide you in what exactly the information that we need. But in the meantime, if you just download the toolkit and look at that spreadsheet, you can see all the different columns of information that we collected from each case study. So if you could, that would be one easy way to provide the information to us now. Ideally, you just make a new row for that spreadsheet describing your project. And then then we can translate that into the more friendly format.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we have one more. How do you know that a thermostat works with a control system?
Well, the best that we could come up with was those 3 questions that I read earlier about what exactly does it mean that it's easy. So you can it can exchange digital data. You can assign more than one sensor to one thermostat. Sorry, let me go check on the 3 questions again. But the general idea is that was the best. Thank you. Perfect. Those are the 3 questions as best as we could determine between DLC and the working group and all the commenters. How do you know if the thermostat can be easily integrated is the answer to those 3 questions. And beyond that, if it's working, I guess you could you should be able to see the savings. I mean, depending on, let's see, end of the day, you should see savings at the meter, right? If you're doing this retrofit in existing buildings, you should see the energy bills come down after this has happened. Jason?
Yeah, and we jump in. I think at the end of the day, the manufacturers are going to tell us that a specific thermostat works with their system. So that is a kind of a testament from the manufacturers. And then as part of the review process, particularly for new systems, there'll be a bit of a demo. But we want to know that they tell us, and then we'll kind of double check and verify that. I think that's kind of the quick answer to that question. We'll pass it back to Barbara.
Yeah, I'll give it a minute more. If you have any questions, or if you'd like us to revisit any slides, feel free to let us know in the questions pane. We're happy to do that. I think that's about it. So I think this brings us to the end of our session. Next slide, please. Just a quick reminder, this webinar is being recorded and will be available in the on-demand webinars option on our website. Thanks once again for attending and your participation, wonderful questions, and thank you, Levin and Jason, for your insightful responses. If you have any questions that comes up later, feel free to email us at info@designlights.org. We are happy to follow up. Thank you.